I froze in the middle of the grocery store aisle, my hands trembling around a small gift bag, when I heard her voice behind me, cold, sharp, and filled with anger. "Stop buying gifts for my children. You're not their mother." Those words didn't just sting, they shattered something inside me. I slowly turned around, my heart pounding, my mouth suddenly dry. There stood my daughter-in-law, Amanda, her arms crossed, her eyes sharp with accusation. Around us, people pushed carts, laughed, picked apples, completely unaware that my world had just cracked open. I'm Margaret. I'm 62 years old. I've raised my son alone after his father passed away. I worked 2 jobs, skipped meals, wore the same coat for years just to make sure my son, Daniel, had a good life. And now I was being told I had no place in my grandchildren's lives. The gift bag in my hand was small. Inside were 2 toy cars for my grandson Leo and a coloring set for little Emma. Nothing fancy, just love wrapped in paper. "I wasn't trying to replace you," I whispered. "I just thought—" She cut me off immediately. "You always think. You think you're entitled. You think you can buy their love. You need to stop." People were staring now. My cheeks burned with shame. "I'm their grandmother," I said softly. She leaned closer, her voice low and dangerous. "Biology doesn't give you rights," she said. "I decide what happens with my children." I felt like I couldn't breathe. That moment in the grocery store wasn't the beginning of the pain. It was the moment I realized how long I'd been quietly pushed aside and how close I was to losing everything that mattered to me. This didn't start at the grocery store. It started years ago, the day Daniel married Amanda. At first, she was polite, distant but polite. She smiled without warmth, thanked me without looking me in the eye. I told myself she was shy. I told myself I was imagining things. When Leo was born, I offered to help. "I can cook," I said. "I can watch him so you can rest." She smiled tightly. "We're good," she replied. "We want to do things our way." So I stepped back. When Emma was born 2 years later, I tried again. I bought baby clothes. She returned half of them, saying they weren't her style. I learned to ask before visiting. Then I learned not to visit at all unless invited. I watched other grandmothers post pictures online, baking cookies, taking grandkids to the park. I sat alone in my small apartment, staring at my phone, waiting for photos that rarely came. Daniel would call sometimes. "Mom, Amanda feels you're a little overwhelming." Overwhelming? Because I loved too much? Because I cared? So I became quiet. I stopped offering advice. I stopped asking questions. I stopped talking about how lonely I felt. But I never stopped loving those children. On birthdays, I sent gifts. On holidays, I dropped cards in the mail. Small things, safe things. Or so I thought. After the grocery store incident, Amanda blocked me. No calls, no messages, no pictures. Weeks passed. Then months. I called Daniel. He didn't answer. When he finally did, his voice was tired. "Mom, please don't make this harder," he said. "I didn't do anything wrong," I replied, my voice breaking. "Amanda feels disrespected," he said. "She needs space." "What about me?" I asked. "What about my grandchildren?" There was silence on the line. "They're fine," he said finally. "They don't need extra confusion." Confusion. As if love was confusing. As if a grandmother's presence was dangerous. I cried that night until my chest hurt. I packed away the toys I had bought. I stopped walking past the children's section in stores. I told myself to let go. But something inside me refused to die. Because love doesn't disappear just because someone tells it to. One rainy afternoon, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, my knees nearly gave out. It was Daniel. He looked thinner, older, tired in a way I hadn't seen before. "Mom," he said quietly, "can I come in?" We sat at the kitchen table where I once helped him with homework. "I need to tell you something," he said, staring at his hands. Amanda hadn't just been controlling with me, she controlled everything. Who he spoke to, where money went, what the kids were allowed to see, what they were allowed to love, including me. "She told me you were trying to turn the kids against her," he said, his voice shaking. "She said you were manipulating them with gifts." I laughed bitterly through tears. "With toy cars?" He finally looked at me. "I was wrong," he said. "I should have stood up, Lena." Then he told me the truth. The children had been asking about me. Leo asked, "Why doesn't Grandma love us anymore?" That question broke him. He realized then that the problem was never me, it was control. Things didn't magically fix overnight, but Daniel started bringing the children to see me, slowly, quietly, without arguments. The first time Leo hugged me again, I cried into his hair. Emma climbed into my lap like she had never left. No gifts, no pressure, just presence. Amanda didn't come at first. When she finally did, months later, we sat across from each other in silence. "I won't compete with you," I said calmly. "I just want to love them." She didn't apologize, but she didn't object either. And sometimes that's enough. Today, I still buy gifts, but more importantly, I show up. Because no one gets to erase a grandmother's love. Not in a grocery store, not with cruel words, not with control. Love doesn't shout, it waits. And in the end, it always finds its way back.